Do you recommend getting into the film business? Do you say, "Hey, this is fun"? People, everybody, young person out there who's watching, independent films or big blockbuster movies, saying, "Hey, I think I want to do that." What do you say to them?
I think it's hard. I think that you have to have a certain mentality to be able to do the long hours, and depending on big budget or low budget, it definitely changes things, right? Between how you're working with others. So, I mean, I think anyone can do it, but not everyone probably wants to just because they like to watch a movie.
Welcome to This Train, the podcast, where we talk about all things the making of This Train, the movie. Today's special guest is Callista Marinas, who is our first AD and continuity coordinator. My name is Jack Luger. I'm the writer and director of This Train, and I'll be your host. Hello and welcome to This Train, the podcast. My name is Jack Luger. I'm the writer and director of the film This Train, and this podcast is about all things that happened in the making of This Train, the movie. Today, I have a special guest, one close to my heart, my daughter, Callista Marinas. I almost said your old last name. That's the way dads are, probably. But she was the first AD and also in charge of continuity for the film, helped out a ton to make this film actually a reality. And so I asked her to join us today. And so, Callie, welcome.
Hi.
So, Callie, tell me what you first recollect about the making of this movie. When we first started talking about it, kind of planning, do you remember anything specifically?
I remember reading the script a couple of times. I think you changed it between one reading the other. That's the first time I really remember it. I remember you meeting Ed and talking about Ed, and then realizing that Ed was going to be in the film. Because at first I just thought he was your friend Ed from school.
And what do you remember about the script, I guess? Usually, I guess I should lay this out. Usually when I write something, Callie's one of the first people I ask to read the script and give feedback on it.
I'm trying to think if I remember any specifics from one script to the other, but I can't say that I really do remember anything specific that you changed. I do remember it just having a lot of changes between here and there, and then getting ready to film and keeping in touch about when you were planning on actually doing the filming process.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the first time you read it? What you thought about the story or what stood out to you? Anything?
It'd be really nice if I did remember the first time I read it, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't remember the first time I read it. I read it a lot of times.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember when I wrote it, but yeah, it all becomes a blur over time. Takes a long time to make a movie. So from the beginning point, which was idea generation starting in probably 2019, 2020, and writing the script in 2021. And then obviously we shot in July of 2022. So let's skip forward then. In 2022, what do you remember about that time period and our production days?
I remember they were long and they were pretty chaotic, and they were pretty tight turnarounds for getting from each set to the other and making sure that we were there and waiting for trains to come by, because unfortunately you do not actually run the train schedule. It would be nice if you did, though, for this film. It would have been really nice.
Would have been nice. And as I've said before, there was a moment when Thomas actually just asked if we could have him send another, and I thought that was great that he thought I had that much control that I could have trains come by whenever we needed them. So I exuded confidence, if nothing else, during that period of time, I guess. So tell me about your role. What were you doing for the film?
I was, I guess, the first AD and just trying to keep everyone mainly on schedule, trying to break down schedules so we knew when time we needed to be cleaning up so that we got to the next location on time. so that we could actually get everything done in one day. I don't know if we were 100% successful on that every single day, but towards the end, we had a better rhythm than at the beginning, I would say, because I wasn't there for the first 2 days, I think. So I was a little behind with catching up.
I still remember that. Yeah. So yeah, you were gone for the first 2 days, but then joined us on the third day, and yeah, well, that certainly helped once you got there to get the flow going. You were in charge of uploading all the content onto our storage drives.
Oh yeah, I remember there were later nights. I forgot about that. I remember there were a lot of later nights because I would go back to the house with you. Everyone else would be going off to their homes to sleep and whatnot, but then you and me were up because I was planning the scheduling for the next day and then also uploading the film at the same time onto the hard drives.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so the work wasn't done when the day was over. Everybody else goes home, and you're stuck still trying to transfer material because obviously, instead of film, we're shooting digital, and so we have all these drives and hard drives, as I've talked about before in this podcast. But we had to back it up. So you're transferring a ton of massive file sized video footage to 2 different drives every day, plus all the audio, which the audio didn't take that much space, but the video certainly did, didn't it?
Yeah. And I think on top of that, oh shoot, maybe I don't remember what I was going to say. Okay, I forget what I was going to say. Sorry.
You forget?
Yeah. Something about the hard drives. Oh, we had to use my computer because I had the MacBook and you don't have a MacBook. So It was pretty specific to being able to upload onto my computer so that the format was because the hard drives were only compatible with MacBooks. Do you remember that?
Yep. Yeah.
You were trying to get it.
The RE files that we were doing, we had to use the Mac to take them off the storage drive for the RE and put them onto our other drives. Yeah. And so, yeah, we had to use it. You have to use a Mac. I don't know if that's standard for everything, but for our situation, that's what we had to do. Once it's off of the RE drives, then we could put it and use anything. But that was true. That added some complications to it. So, what was your favorite part of the production process for the film?
I thought it was my favorite part.
Did you have a favorite part?
I'm sure I did. I just remember being very long and very tired. I think oh, sorry. I don't know how to make the notifications not make that loud noise.
That's okay. We'll survive with notifications.
I think maybe the night shoot was kind of nice because it changed up the schedule a lot opposed to the monotonous certain schedule that we'd have every day about getting up and being out of the door by 6 or 7 and then getting back late at night. So the night shoot changed up the schedule, which was nice. And then being there with the horses and whatnot.
Driving home from that night shoot wasn't great. I remember being pretty sleepy.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the good part.
But we all survived the drive home, and that's a danger area actually for film crews when they do night shoots, right? People are exhausted, working for 12, 15 hours, and they drive home, in the early morning or still at night, but early morning, nighttime, and it's a danger area. So I remember thinking, wow, that was more dangerous than shooting around trains, probably.
Probably.
But and of course, then we got home early and slept till a certain point in time, and then met later that day to shoot the next scenes. I can't remember. For some reason, I think that was the busker scene we were shooting on the streets, and then we got rained out or something. Maybe that day we got rained out. After that,
yeah, I don't remember what we did the day after that, but probably it was whatever required the least amount of people.
Yeah, it's all a blur. But okay. So favorite, questionable. Maybe your favorite part was making TikToks in between.
Oh yes, I loved making my TikToks.
But after okay, so what was your least favorite part of production? either a moment, specific time, or just in general?
Well, I just think since we were all together for a long amount of time with very close proximity every single day, I think we started rubbing on each other's nerves, everyone. So I think that was my least favorite part, was just the stress getting to everyone and then the emotions coming out. I think there
Okay.
are some people happier than others, so which just
Okay.
happens when you're in a tight schedule.
Yeah. Well, we shot for 15 days straight. 15 days straight of shooting. No breaks, so no days off other than when we got rained out in the afternoon one day, which was probably a blessing. We probably needed
Yeah.
that sleep and downtime. And I was able to pick up that scene. We had to do 2 shots at it, but we picked up that scene a couple weeks after regular production was over.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's any film set when you're spending 12 hours plus a day with the same people, and we're doing a low budget feature, micro budget feature that only have 6 or 7 of us regularly there every day. Yeah, after a while, you can nerves can get a little bit frayed. But
Yep.
but overall, nobody killed anybody, right?
Yeah, that is a good thing.
That's a win in my book.
Yep. No one's being sued, so that's great.
Not yet. Yeah. So, all right. If I came to you tomorrow and said, Callie, I have another script, I want you to read this, and I think next summer we're going to shoot it, what would you say?
Contact me in 6 months.
You want 6 months to contemplate?
I'd want 6 months to contemplate and 6 months to know what your plan is.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe. Well, I mean, if I had the script, I said, "Do you want to read the script?" You'd want to.
Oh, I did the script.
Okay, you at least read the script. All right. So, Callie, I've got you on the phone on this podcast right now. I'm gonna share it with you right now. I have no script or plan to shoot next summer.
No way.
Are you happy?
You're like, I could already figured you want a break. I think you want a summer that you're not focusing on a movie.
Well, I thought this summer was going to be that, but yeah, it's not. Yeah, not this summer, not next summer. But who knows? Maybe the summer after next.
Maybe the summer after.
Yeah, we'll jump back into it.
Come back in 2026 to find out.
That's right. Stay tuned. I've always got scripts in mind, so who knows? Maybe I'll write one of them. Or maybe you'll write one of them. You'll write a script, and we'll shoot that. Interest?
Highly unlikely, but maybe.
I think you should try. You should try. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what else about the movie This Train? Are you? Is there anything you've done or anything when you've watched the film and thought, I'm really proud of this or proud of that moment or anything of that sort?
I mean, I think I'm very proud that the film got put all together and is out there now. Having it on streaming is really cool, and being able to share that with others, I think, definitely a proud point. So I send it to people I've met and know. So hopefully they'll see it. So I'm just proud of the overall outcome of it. I think it turned out really well.
Did you think, was there ever a moment where you thought, this is never going to happen? We're not going to be able to pull this off.
Do you want the honest answer, or you want the good answer?
I'm asking. What did you think?
I mean, I think there were moments where I was like, maybe it wasn't going to happen.
Well,
I don't know.
Production, you mean, or after production was over and I'm complaining about editing, or what? When was this moment that you?
Before, probably. Because getting stuff off the ground is the hardest part, right? So once we were in production, I was like, okay, well, we're actually filming this. And then I figured, since you had the footage, it was eventually going to get completed no matter what. But definitely pre-production, I wasn't super sure when it was going to... if it was going to get off the ground.
Well, yeah. Well, what's funny is that when I talked to Ed, we talked about just how hard it is to get something going, and even like a single a short film that maybe shoots a day, maybe two. I thought maybe I'll shoot something this summer, and didn't happen. It's that hard to get something going. But we talked about how when we set that date of July 9th for our production, when we
Mhm.
broadcast that and we started planning around that, that it made it that much more real. That once we said, we know we are shooting on this date, we're starting, that I could start planning everything, talking to people, right? I knew that I had to get it done. And then once we had kind of all the people lined up, it felt like there's no turning back now, for one. Although
Mhm.
there were probably moments where we thought that may not be a bad option. But yeah, right. But yeah, once we were in production, there was no doubt. When I was in post production, there were some times where I'm trying to edit stuff together and going, how am I pulling this off, or how am I going to
Mhm.
fix this problem? And that was my motto, though: solve the problem.
Mhm.
And so I would literally say it out loud in the edit room. I would get to a moment and I'd be like, sunglasses are in the, or wardrobe, or I got an actor looking at the camera that I didn't see originally. Little things like
Mhm.
that. And so I would literally, after a moment of frustration, you know, look at myself and say, well, you're to blame, Jack. And then I would go solve the problem. What?
Yeah.
What's so funny about that?
You imagining yourself sitting there being like, well, I guess I'm the problem.
Yeah. Ultimately, it all falls on me. And, at least I had some perspective on it. And fortunately, I
Mhm.
was editing by myself, so I could do a lot of talking to myself and grousing. And then I would come back around and get back to work. So it was good.
Yeah.
That was good. All right. Well, Callie, what final thoughts do you want to share? Do you recommend getting into the film business? Do you say, "Hey, this is fun"? People, everybody, young person out there who's watching, independent films or big blockbuster movies, saying, "Hey, I think I want to do that." What do you say to them?
I think it's hard. I think that you have to have a certain mentality to be able to do the long hours, and depending on big budget or low budget, it definitely changes things, right? Between
Mm-hmm.
how you're working with others. So, I mean, I think anyone can do it, but not everyone probably wants to just because they like to watch a movie.
Yeah. Well, if you like to just sit and watch, there's not much when you are in production. I mean, there's a lot of sitting around in some senses, right? Because some moments
Mhm.
you can't do anything, right? You're just waiting on people to get lights set up, or you're waiting on rehearsal for actors, right? And then there are
Mhm.
other moments where then you're like, you got to run 90 miles an hour and it's chaos while you're trying to
Yeah.
get your stuff going. So that was one of the things when you would hold my book. Well, I guess you had your own book, but then you also were managing my book with the script and all my
Yeah.
notes. And so you were the one in charge of making sure that I was getting all the scenes shot.
Mhm.
You were, and so you would pull the pages of the script out of the book to give to me so that I could kind of find out what we were shooting next and things like that. So, um,
Yeah.
your contribution to kind of keep us on schedule and make sure we were getting everything shot, because that's one of the greatest fears, is that we get done with a scene, we think we're all done, we've moved lights, and we realize either we've forgotten something, right? We didn't do that one
Mhm.
cutaway or that one shot,
Yeah.
or I get into the editing room and we realize it, right? So
Mhm.
you were also writing down, were you writing down takes and so forth?
Yeah, I was writing down takes and like notes on the takes on which ones were good and which ones were not
Right.
ideal, and then just writing down comments that you made while you were directing, just so you
Mm-hmm.
had that during the editing process
Yeah,
too.
that was huge, because you were always going, "What did you think, Jack?" Or Dad. Maybe you said Dad. I don't know if you said Jack or
I
Dad,
probably said
but
dad.
yeah, what'd you think? What should I put down on that one? I'm like, I don't know, but no, that helped a ton, because there were certain scenes that we could mark off for sure, and I just didn't even bother uploading
Mhm.
those into my editing system. I didn't need those filling, cluttering space, and didn't need to proxy those. But so those notes helped a ton, and so you were called on a lot to kind of really manage all that information, so that when I
Mhm.
got into editing, I could find it. And so that was awesome. Couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah.
Um, all right, I'm being serious. I'm being
Yeah.
serious. So that's the thing with this, was there's so many so many people that gave time and effort, you and
Mhm.
Aubrey, Ethan and
Mhm.
Emily, obviously John and Hannah and Roger, and so many others beyond our actors that obviously
Mhm.
put a lot into it. The crew, just gets to be a name on the end credits, but doesn't get that on-screen appreciation, which
Mhm.
most of them don't want it. They don't want to be in front of the camera, but there are some people that and we were a small film, so we only had a limited number, but each and every one of them contributed in a way that if they hadn't done their job, that would have put more pressure on somebody else, which is usually when things got missed. That was the thing when
Mhm.
we were done with principal photography. You had gone back home. Uh, Everybody was done. It was me and John and Ed, and then I would usually grab somebody from school and say, "Hey, I need you to help me
Mhm.
with sound." Roger came out a couple times, but then he was busy also because we had scheduled for that, to
Right.
shoot pickup shots and redo some scenes and just pick second unit shots, even though second unit was also our first unit, really
Mhm.
shooting. But there were times where it was just John and me, and so I was operating sound. I was directing. I was trying to make notes in the camera log, as well as tracking all camera log and the continuity log. And it was at that point, I was just chicken scratching a few things down and hoping I'd remember what I had done. So during
How'd that
production,
work
during
out?
that, well, we got a film, right? But there were, again, in the editing room, I was kind of chewing myself out for not getting better notes, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. So your role was really
Mhm.
important to make it work. So all
Yeah,
right,
it definitely
final
helps with
comment.
the after stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it was vital. Good notes will make post production that much easier, and it certainly did for me. All right, final comments, final thoughts. Um, you've seen the film in the
Mhm.
theater. It's now out on
Yep.
streaming. You've already ordered 10 DVDs, I'm sure, for your
20.
collection. 20. That's guess what everybody's getting for Christmas from me. All right.
Everyone
For
else
the
is
next
getting a
10
mug.
years. Yes. Well, there you go. I should have my mug here with you. You made me a beautiful This Train Hellcat mug,
Mhm.
which I enjoyed my first cup of coffee
R.I.P.
out of. So
Hellcat.
that's a rip Hellcat. I have my Hellcat poster over here. I have my This Train poster right behind me, though. Um, and actually, up on the screen, up on the wall, this thing right here is the Hellcat This Train scene color board. Basically, every scene is a strip in this movie palette, and so it's a fun thing to look at and see the color schemes that were happening. I look at my color board, my planned color board, and how that turned out, and I'm like, hey, we did a pretty good job. So
Mhm.
those are obsolete Hellcat T-shirts right there too. So one day
How
there'll be
many
a
of those
collector's
do you
item.
have?
I've got about 10 left, I think. I don't know. I'll probably do some kind of raffle.
Oh,
I'm
for
probably
who?
thinking of money. Yeah, raffling probably won't work. Oh well.
You can give them to
Anyway,
your
all right, Callie. What?
you can give them to your students.
Yeah, that's probably what'll happen. Is I'll probably do some giveaways. So yeah, that's the sad thing. There are no This Train T-shirts. So I've thought about making This Train hats or something like that.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll take some suggestions. We can do a little poll. I think with my podcasting, I can create a poll for
Yeah,
everybody that
you can
listens.
make a poll in the description.
There you go. What's the next swag that we should create for This Train? What do you want This Train swag, Callie? What kind of swag are you wanting?
I would like a tote bag. I
A
don't have enough
tote.
tote bags.
Yeah. Tell me. Oh, sure.
No,
I'm
I'm
gonna think.
serious. I do need a tote bag.
Really? Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I've got so many.
So if you give me a this
Everywhere I
train
go.
tote bag, it's
This
also more
train totes.
appropriate for work or something like that, opposed to having Hellcat written on the side.
Well, we did tame it down for the broader audience. So,
Hmm.
all right. Well, Callie, thank you for participating in my podcast. Thank
And
you
in your
for,
film.
and well, certainly in my film. Actually, we didn't talk about it because you ended up on the cutting room floor.
Thank goodness.
So I will commend you on the day of shooting. I had an actress call me in the morning or text me, actually, I think, and say, I'm
She was
sick.
like
I
an
can't
hour
come in
before
today.
she was supposed to be there.
Yeah. And I made 100 calls, emails, trying to find somebody who could do that role. And it had to be a specific role because it was a young lady at a bar making a pass at Ricky. And so when all else failed, I called upon my daughter to do it. And so I don't know why I couldn't see it at the time when we shot it, just editing out that character and writing around it.
Mhm.
But when I got in the editing room after I edited it with you, I was able to look at it and go, I can cut and edit that out. And I can see where it's missing. And you're in one shot in the background, and then when we cut back, you're
Mhm.
gone. But otherwise, yeah, you did end up on the editing room floor. Sorry about that. I know you were really,
It's fine.
yeah, you were
I
really
think
disappointed in that.
it was like a fluff piece anyways. It wasn't super necessary to the story. It didn't really add or take away to the character of Ricky too much. So I don't think it was necessary, especially after reading the script and thinking about it afterwards more.
Yeah. Well, it
I
certainly
think it's
wasn't
better for it
necessary.
now.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary. I thought that it was a thing that added character to who Ricky was, showing his
Mhm.
kind of weathered, tired thing where every bar he goes to, he gets hit on in some senses
Mhm.
because he's well known. But anyway, it didn't play in the right manner. You're just too pure, Callie. You didn't come off as
Mhm.
no, it wasn't your fault. It just didn't. It wasn't necessary, and so there was actually a minute of
Mhm.
screen time that we could cut. So sorry about
Mhm.
that. Not sorry, and I know you're not sad about it. So
I'm fine with it.
all
I think
right.
it's for
So
the
thank
better.
you. It was for the better. Yes, for the good of all things.
Yep, taking
Thank you
one for the
again.
team there.
Yeah, thank you again for being a part of This Train, the
Yep, of
movie,
course, Dad.
and This Train, the podcast. I couldn't
Mhm.
have done it without you. I sincerely, I say that to everybody, but it's true for everybody, and it's certainly true for you and what you gave to the film. So, all right, thank you, Callie. Thank you, everybody, for
Yep.
watching This Train podcast, and it's always and listening to it, or listening and watching. You can do both. Appreciate you kind of going along the journey of how we made the film and the fun that it is for us to reminisce and to really acknowledge that, hey, we made it, we did it, and we've crossed the finish line. Thank you again, Callie, for being a part.
Yep, thanks for having me, Dad.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of This Train, the podcast. Please check out future episodes where I talk to other members of the cast and crew. Until then, take care.